All right, this is all September the 1st. This is our third meeting we had in D.G.B.A. I'm going to start this video. It's about 20 minutes long, I think. See if some of you Rooster people out there recognize. Here you go.
And it's a sad situation, you know. U.G.B.A. has done everything it can to raise money. Let me explain one thing about the U.G.B.A. A lot of people don't really realize. I've, over the years, heard people say, well, the U.G.B.A. this, the U.G.B.A. that. Every individual in this room, Delaware, Maryland, is a member of the U.G.B.A. You are the people who make the decisions if you come to the meeting. Because we have board of directors. You will have one member here that will be a member of the board. The board of directors simply proposes the law. And any member that's there from any place in the United States votes and decides whether that law is okay. Every member of an individual who is there at the meeting decides who the president is, who the vice president is, who the secretary of the treasury. You decide. You, if you were there, decide. So when you hear people complaining about U.G.B.A. and what they are doing, blame yourself. Because if you're not there to support it, and if you're not there to vote, whose fault is it? If you vote in a different way. Yeah, I've heard this from so many people so many times over the years, and I've tried to explain to them. Because, let's say, when I was vice president, public relations director, I was on the executive committee, I was voting into those positions. Now, what did you give me? You gave me 3 tough jobs to work. So I was still Maryland, I was still president of Maryland, but that didn't make any difference. You gave me 3 more jobs, and I was glad to take them. But it didn't make me any different than anyone else. And we had a vote, just like you did. I just took on the work. And the same thing with the people that take the job. They take one more work than the individuals. Now there's a few people here tonight, I'll repeat what I said from this meeting. In every organization, you have 5% of people that are new. You have 15% of people are workers. You have 50% that are troublemakers. And you have the remaining 65% that will come to a meeting, enjoy the meeting, and go home. Now, I don't care how big your organization is, I don't care if you have 1,000 members or if you have 15 members, that's the way it generally works. Now, if you can operate with, let's say, 25% workers, instead of 15% troublemakers, then you're going strong, you're doing great. And that's what you have to do, is get along with each other. One of the toughest things to do is to start an organization, because today, organizations, I think television is important. Everybody wants to see it. The second most important thing I can say is keep it together, because that's a hard thing to do. And you have to do some nice little things for it. I told you the reason why people come to my meetings is because I give sausage and pepper. I mean, that's why they come. If I didn't have a sausage and pepper, I would have money every year because I donated. But that's what they come for. And then the other 2 meetings are meetings where they come into a hall or something like that, and we have a party. make sense? That if you don't stick to an organization, if you don't build your organization, you're not going to have anything. You won't even have a Mid-America. You won't have any place to go. But try to convince these people that. Try to convince somebody. See, I'm talking to you because you're here. But the people I really need to talk to are the people that aren't here. And I want to know why they aren't here. There's no excuse for it. There's no excuse except that, well, that's, you know, the old story that John told. Well, they're letting everybody else go in their house. And that's a bad situation. I've preached all over this country. I feel like a failure, honestly. I feel like I'm a failure because for a period of about 6 or 7 years, I was public relations director, and I traveled from almost every state in the country, and I spoke. And I spoke to them like I'm going to say to the leaders of this organization now, and everyone in here. Go to your politician, find out who your city councilman is, who your member of the House of Delegates is, who your state senator is. Pay your bill, find out who he is. Let him know that you will work for him. Do everything you can for them when it's election time, or any time. You don't have to mention that. Just work for them. Do your job with them. Let them become indebted to you because you did that. Then, when your time comes, where you need them, they're indebted to you. So what do you do? Go there and ask them. This particular bill, next week, I'd like to see what you do. And he, of course, will pass them on to the others. Now, as many of them as you can. Now, luckily, we're over the small state, and I know at least 10 or 12 state senators. And last 2 years ago, we tried to pass a bill. Actually, we made it for a individual who participated in the play, who came and watched, a spectator. He was the same as the guy that was there as a player. He was there 5 minutes all the time, and over 3 months he was here. I killed him. They buried him. What happened? They wouldn't. If I was a individual, I think I had some reason to, you know, they didn't know about him. But they buried him. Now, I didn't have a real good argument. Because I said, look, we're not fighting this thing. I said, since the law passed, I said, we haven't had a most of this thing. We told people, waiting on that, this is what it was. I said, they're foreigners. I said, they started everything, and it's a crime. They busted. What else can I say? I said, they said, well, why are you so interested in this bill not going through if you're not fighting? I said, because it's just another step in the Humane Society to say, look, we succeeded in doing it. I said, that's the only reason I'm doing this. Because otherwise I would be here, but we don't do it. I said, the next thing I'll be coming up, I'll make a felony out of it. It's still not a felony. So, luckily, they went on with me. They buried me. But I didn't have to argue. You know, I'm arguing for something that if we don't fight, what difference does it make what the law is? But it worked. That's because I had friends. And that's what you all have to do. You have to make friends with these politicians. I don't care. I have people this from one end of the country to the other. And it's even worse. Now, Arizona is a shame. It's a disgrace. It happens. Because every time you went to a pit in Arizona, you went to college state, you paid $10 to join Arizona Game Company. They were not affiliated with those who did. That $10 didn't make you a voting member. That $10 just went in their coffers. And they had a board of directors, and that's the only people that went to a meeting with the board of directors. They wanted to join the U.G.B.A. what they did with that 25 to 50,000 a year was if you were Mexican, you paid, you came from Mexico, you came from the Philippines, you came from Guam, no matter where you came from, you paid that $10. And he had 1,000 people come to every meeting. So tell me, you know, his big, when I'm talking about meetings, every fight, he had 4 or 5 big fights a year where he had 1,000 people there because I was there. Now, that was a lot of money over the last 2 years. Now, I've been going there for 20-something years. It started out for $1, then went to $2, then went to $5. The last 10 years, it was $10. Now, what happened to all that money? I don't know. That money could have been used to fight this thing and fight for us. The U.G.B.A. donated money. Maryland donated money. I personally donated money for them. You know, I'm in Arizona anymore, but still, it would be bad. Every time something like that happens, that just decimated. It affects all of us. Every time one of these bad laws gets in, it affects us all. In one way or another. Now, I've told you what can happen. I've told you what you can do. Now, you just got to roll like a log. This is what you're going to have to do in your state, as well as what I do in my state, if you want to survive. There's just no other way. Politicians are the people who do the job. The police don't give a damn about job training. The politicians predominantly don't care about one way or the other. But when they get pressure from the Humane Society, and they think that they're going to get more votes from them than they are from you, now they say, well, we have a constituency going this way, going this way. If you prove to them that your constituency is stronger than the Humane Society, they can move you. That's what they do. They're going to let vote, they're going to have vote. In Texas, let me give you a little example. We had a big problem in Texas. So, 400 or 500 people went to the state house, and they went out there smoking. They were impressed. They went great. They started going through what was being their names. We find out that only 40 people out of the top 500 were registered to vote. What do you think that means? They laughed at it from now on. Get out of here. You're going to tell us you want something, but you didn't bother to do what you're supposed to do. You didn't even bother to vote. I told you about Alabama, they got busted, and they're in big trouble. You know about Arizona, you know about Missouri. The law in Arizona, you got to understand, is that you cannot even use a live minnow to bait boat. That's how absurd the law is in that legal, because it is an absurd law. The more absurd the law, the better chance we have of being. If there are any other questions on anything that I can answer, I'll be glad to.
But it says that it don't count. The reason I think the story was, there was one lady that had $57,000, and she let them borrow $250,000. For that money. I had one from Arizona.
We have the Arizona newspaper right here, Bill.
Okay.
Well, good. Maybe there's more information here than I got.
Yeah, you can get it.
Are there any?
Joe, what does a guy like Phil Church wants to say about this?
I talked to Phil, it's unfortunate because I know he's a wonderful individual. And I know he was good and strong.
Travis Park, he's probably.
Yes, Phil, I think was the most money. You know, Phil owned a Rooster dealership. He was well connected. I didn't think
state that
They
day.
called me, Phil Ivan told me, I went in, and he was going to that, and they're gonna try to make a new search to get that, because I heard their speakers here, and they must have had 2,700 of them on their speakers. I mean, they had it in the park, and Charles Partner, who was in his business down there, they were there. Louisiana now, we were talking to the different states, because they had stopped making it mandatory at sunset. And the 3 or 4 big fish down there now decided that they were going to make it mandatory again. Now, I don't know if you recall why Maryland went down before the report, made us so rested in peace. Anyway, if he had listened to me and made it mandatory for people to come in, that wouldn't have happened. But he took anybody that came through that door that had $15 got in. It didn't make any difference. And I begged him, I said, look, it's a two-way street. You're helping the organization and the life. And what you are doing is helping yourself, because you know that every member that comes in there is a legitimate contractor. Because in Maryland, the rule is you have to be okayed by 2 known members, or you don't come into our organization. You have to be known by 2 guys that are definitely qualified. That's the rule. He would have never had any problems there. We had that red-headed guy coming in every 2 weeks. He was an art man. Every 2 weeks he came in, and we finally realized who he was. We had that, we told him we were lucky. And then on top of that, I said, I'm going to fight. You pay for it, forget that. I'll show him. So what did he show him? He blasted it all over the country. It was on TV, it was in the news and so on. I looked at my senator and he said, hey, you know, I killed this dude for 8 years. He killed the bill 8 years in a row. He said, too much publicity. I can't do it. I could understand that. And that's what you told him. You can't commit political suicide, you know, for one thing. He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. We'll keep it down. So we'll count on what you do. At the same time, I proposed a bill. And I proposed the same bill that they have in Virginia. I said, let's see if we can get this one passed. We thought, do you know that the Bar people fought against my bill? They thought I was trying to...
By the way, this is our lobbyist, was our lobbyist in Washington, D.C. And a lot of you Rooster people know who he is.
It is illegal to fight gamecocks for monetary gain, charge admission, or give a trophy. But it's not illegal to fight the roosters. It's illegal to fight it for those purposes. So that's why they're continuing to fight the roosters. And they're lucky. Must have can't do the know you're not supposed to gamble. But, and that's why for years down there they told you, no open gambling. If you sue that, now it's back to open gambling.
We're at 20 minutes.
For a while, there was no open gambling. You open your mouth. So I'd say, hey, now, you know, you just have to sort of put your fingers up and go to caves. But if we had that law in Maryland, we'd be ashamed. 8 o'clock, members only, and you could go on to your business.
Okay, let's start the second part.